What's going on, everybody? Hey, it's Jason, and tonight we have a great build today. We're going to build a White Panzer Fight Stick 3i, and it's going to have not only a sweet case, but it's going to have this Brook Universal Fight Board, and it's going to be stacked on top of this Brook Retro Board, so this thing is going to work on so many consoles. It is going to be insane. I'm super excited about it, and hopefully you guys are too when we go ahead and get this thing built. I did tweak the stream setup a little bit because I never leave anything alone, moved mic around and such, so if anything sounds off or looks weird, let me know in the chat so I can fix it before we begin. And big shout out to Joe at Sabos Arcades. I'm sorry, Joe, I always get that wrong. SZABOS arcades.com. He provided the print for this build. You can order any of my panels artwork on his site. Again, that's Zabos Arcades. Zabos Arcades. I always get it weird. It's that Z. It throws me off. SZABOS arcades.com. He's got all the templates for the Panzers, all the various panels I make, and he has a lot of different options. And I can tell you right now that this is the piece of artwork I'm going to show you here. It comes out really, really nice. It's not just a piece of paper, it's got a little bit of weight to it, so this is high quality stuff, and I think the customer, when he gets this build, is going to really like this, so I'm looking forward to installing this and getting the thing built out. So let's go along for this ride and see what we come up with. Alright, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and get my ugly face off the cam, and let me just do the overhead only, because that's all you really care about. Yes, let me get a link to you guys in the chat. Hang on one second. All the... all the products on my webpage have a link to his website and a link to all the templates, so you should be able to get everything, no problems. And yeah, get your stuff done up. Now that I got this nice and big, here, let me show you. Here you go. That is the artwork. It's not super glossy. It's not matte by any stretch of the imagination. You can see here it's got a little thickness to it. It's not just a piece of paper that Joe throws in a a Canon printer and says, "Okay, here you go." This is professional level artwork here, and this is good stuff. I really, really like it. Here, you can hear that. There you go. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, we've got our traditional Panzer Fight Stick box here. And we gotta open it. I've packed a lot of orders today. I went through like 3 rolls of tape, so I'm actually a little tired today, so if it's not an exciting stream, I apologize. I just really want to get this done and tested and then go to bed, because I have to get up for the gym at, I gotta be there at 5:30, so I get up about 4:45 to get out of the house and get there on time. Alright, so let's go ahead and pull this case out, and we're going to save this box because we're going to use this to package the thing up when we're done. Clean off our work surface here. No one likes a dirty work surface. And you can see we're going to start with this thing flipped upside down. The customer did want the bottom pad for this, so we're going to go ahead and install that first. Not very organized today. I had a lot of stuff going on today, and normally I like to clean up before the stream and kind of get things organized, but I decided to just go for it and not get anything cleaned up or organized before I started. So what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to get this as lined up as center as possible, so we still have access to the screws here, so if we ever do want to put feet on this, we can, but that's good to go. I'm also coordinating artwork designs for our sponsored Panzer fight stick with Purple Grimace over on Facebook. That's the dinging in the background in case you hear it, and why I tend to wander off and answer things on my other computer. So I apologize for that, but we got to take advantage of these free opportunities to chat where we're all in the same time zone, at least awake as we can. So apparently I've misplaced one of my screwdrivers. I really am not prepared tonight. This is actually kind of embarrassing now. We'll figure this out. Don't need that. Don't need that. Well, let's just go for it. So we're going to go ahead and take the bottom off first. Normally I like to use my electric screwdriver here so that it just makes this a lot faster, but I think I left it in my car or in my garage because I don't see it. I actually had to do a little bit of work on the Z this weekend. Nothing major. It was just taking my steering wheel off and replacing it with a new one. And I must have taken my screwdriver out there to help get the fairings off of the steering column, and I just forgot to bring it back in the house. So, old manual labor to the rescue. We'll get this knocked out. It's not a huge deal. Twisting a screwdriver never hurt anybody. All right. So while we're doing this, I am excited to say that we are bringing the Mad Catz versus Fight Stick panels to the shop this week. We finally got those all test fitted. It's been a long time coming. I've just been getting sidetracked with about 1,000 different projects and partnerships that have dissolved, and moving and all my stuff to Japan. So it took a little bit longer than I wanted, but I think 2020 is going to be a good year for a lot of stuff. And the first thing we're going to kick off new this year are those panels. So if you've not seen them, I posted it up on Twitter, also on Facebook, and my Instagram page. It's not the best photos, if you will, but they are just some quick cell phone shots so you can see what we're looking at. So yeah, it's pretty good. All right, cool. Alright. Oh, Ness, good evening. How are you, my friend? I hope all is well. If I remember correctly, hold on. No, Bubbles, he's in Osaka, and I think... Are you in Saitama by chance? Saitama? Or Tokyo? I forget. Alright, so we're just getting a couple things kind of set up first here. I'm going a little out of order. It's okay. It's not a huge deal. What I'm doing is I'm just going ahead and get the universal plate installed. That's going to use these number 6 washers and these number 6 lock splits, as well as these nuts that hold it in place. And I'm just finger tightening all this stuff to start with. usually at some point during these builds, someone from work calls me and I have to take a phone call. Hopefully tonight will be the first night in a long time that we stream and that doesn't happen, so fingers crossed. Although my phone is making all sorts of noise over there. That's the one bad thing about being in the Navy. You can't just silence your cell phone, because if you do, then the work can't get in touch with you, and sometimes it's actually super important that work gets in touch with you. So it's all right. We'll just grin and bear it and move on. Right. So good. That's installed. Lock washers are in place. We should be good to go there. Just do one final torque down on all these. There we go. Great. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install the Nutric adapter right here. This is like I said earlier, this is a retro board build, so we are going to use an RJ45 connector to connect all the cables up to it. And apparently, I did not grab the white Nutric gasket. So the question in, it looks like in YouTube chat is, can the lever bracket be used with any lever? The answer is yes. So this, let me get this out of the way, we don't need that. This set of mounts here, these four like this is for Sanwa. These are for Shimizu, and these out here are for Korean levers. So we can do that with all of them. We can use any lever we want on this case. That's why the big hole is cut here too, because you can use that with the full collar Korean levers if you so want to. Great question, great question. Oh, that's all right. Okay. We're just going to use this screwdriver and just kind of adapt this crazy long thing to it. You can see, my dog got a hold of this screwdriver. It's pretty sad. Long time ago. Long time ago. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and just put the Nutric here in the gasket like so. And go ahead and stand up the case. I always want the this push thing here at the top, so we just line it up like that, and then push this in like so. Get it all lined up like that, and then we'll reinsert the screws and tighten this thing down. Alright. With the most ridiculously long screwdriver that is 100% unnecessary. There we go. Get it started. Cool. Well, at least it's a ratcheting screwdriver. That's good. I didn't realize that. It's been chewed up so bad I forgot. I never use it. Screwing into place. Good to go. Voila. Boom. Good. So that's good to go. Alright, let's go ahead and flip this thing back down and work on the next bit. So, since this is going to have the retro board installed, We want to install that first. It's going to go at the base of the stack. Like so. And it's going to mount there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these standoffs. These are male to female standoffs, number 440. And I'm just going to screw these down like so. Okay. Yep, there we go. Oh, thank you. The white case is it's a good color. As a matter of fact, I've got one of my personal builds is a white case, and I put a carbon fiber overlay on it. It came out really nice. Alright, there we go. Good to go. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to open up the Universal Fight Board, and this is going to stack on top of the Retro Board. And what that does is pass all of the signals for the lever, the 8 buttons here and 3 buttons, because that's all the Retro Board uses, over between the two boards, and that allows it to have a much simpler wiring setup than having to run jumper wires and all that craziness. So the downside is opening these bags that Brooke uses can be quite the pain. These are custom connectors that I designed for use in this setup, so I'm pretty proud of that. All you got to do is just line up the pins first, make sure that the USB pins are lined up and the 20 pin connectors lined up, and just kind of push it down in place like so. And you'll be good to go. Then you'll put your 4 screws through here like that. Now, the one thing that I like to do is the Retro Board comes with this pamphlet, and it's got all the directions on it and all that stuff. And the important thing is, let me pull this board off, is this jumper right here, down at the lower right. It's a little blown out on the camera, so I apologize. It's kind of bright in here. With this open, the output over the RJ45 is the Retro Board. If that's opened and you hit start and select at the same time, then the Universal Fight Board becomes the default over the RJ45. If you close pins 2 and 3, which are here, with the jumper, and you plug it in, then the Universal Fight Board will be default. But then if you hold start and select while you plug it in, then the Retro Board will become the default. So it gives you a lot of options and a lot of flexibility. So typically I like to make the Brook Universal Fight Board the default, because I think more people use these on modern consoles when they have this mod installed like this. And then what they'll do is they'll just put it in Retro Board mode as required for whatever they're doing. And that has some advantages, because the Switch is notoriously a pain in the butt to get, not to get working, but it can be a little finicky when you plug the stick in. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And by it works or it doesn't work, I mean that it will sometimes pick it up properly and sometimes it won't. So let me see if I have any jumpers. I've got a lot of random crap all over the place. Oh, not there. Ooh, the wind outside here in Yokosuka is crazy strong. I can hear it outside. It is nuts. Oh, look at that. Here's a jumper. All right, cool. So these little jumpers, it doesn't come with this in the box, but they're just standard PC jumpers. If you've been working with PCs at all, then you know that a long time ago you just have to use these to set settings in your BIOS and whatnot. It's kind of a pain in the butt, actually. Don't mind my mess. I just wanted to get some plastic washers. They're not necessary, but I like to use them occasionally. Oh, konbanwa, Bubbles! How are you tonight? I have good news for you. Hold on, let me change this. I have great news for you because guess what? The printed plexi is here, and I'm about to ship it all out. So you will get yours here in a couple days. I'm going to package all the printed plexis up tomorrow because I had to get boxes for them to ship out in. I buy a lot of the thin boxes on Amazon, and I ran out yesterday and didn't realize it. So I had to order some this morning, and they'll be here tomorrow. So I'm very excited. Very excited. So let me go ahead and put back the case. Alright, so now what we're going to do, actually check this out. I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit. I'm going to put the washers underneath the posts because they're easier to put there than trying to hold them in place when you're trying to screw the board in from the top. And all this is really going to do is just provide a little bit more height for the board so that you get them to both be parallel like this, but it's kind of tilted. It is nice to see that everyone is tuning in on YouTube and not Twitch. The last time we did a Twitch stream, the quality was not very good. Something was going on with Twitch, and so everyone tuned in over on YouTube. So I'm glad to see everyone's over on YouTube today. I'm actually considering not streaming on Twitch anymore. I like the idea. If I remember correctly, I think I can stream in 4K on YouTube. And fortunately, my internet here in Japan, I've got JCOM gigabit internet. It's a fiber, and I get crazy good speeds with it. So I can stream at a very, very high bit rate. And the other great thing is because I've got such good high-speed internet, and I've got a totally overkill computer that I use to stream, I can get very high quality for you guys. So I may have to do some tweaking for the streaming setup. Alright, so now all I'm doing is I'm using these screws to just link, provide a mechanical connection between the two PCBs so that neither of them fall out. They're not going to fall out, obviously. That would be a terrible design. But it's just a little extra. We'll go with that, a little extra. Okay, so now that's all good. We got the jumper installed. We're going to slide that off to over there. What we're going to do here is we're going to put some Sanwa crystal smoke buttons here. And to do that, I need them. Here. Oh, look at that. I found the gasket. Where are these? Yep. Alright, so we're going to grab the the 6 smoke Sanwa buttons, like so. All right. Okay, and the other thing we're going to do is we're going to use the toggle switches, and I guess we'll just get a bunch of the wiring out. Some toggle switches here, like that. We're not going to need that. We'll set that off to the side. We don't need that. That's garbage. Alright, and we'll toss that down there. Okay. We don't need that wire yet. Alright, let's see. We do need this one. That's for the lock switch. And we do need this one. This is for the lever mode selector switch, which are both right here. So we'll go ahead and get these clipped in. So I do have, so like I said, I have a bunch of stuff that I'm going to be installing this weekend, I hope, maybe on Saturday, to upgrade the entire streaming setup. Right now, I've got the camera here. I'm pointing to it over there. That's for my face camera. And then up here is my overhead camera. They're both Panasonic Lumix cameras. They're G7s. I love them. And they get fed into a Magewell for a quad HDMI PCI Express card. So I can take all 4 sources and put them in OBS, no problems. But I've noticed that sometimes on the streams, this doesn't look as clean as it possibly could. So I actually bought this. This is a ATEM Mini video switcher. It's like it's made by Blackmagic, and it's actually super high end at a very affordable price. And so I think this weekend I'm gonna get this set up. I'm gonna put it up here so I have easy access to it, and I'm probably gonna move some monitors around so that I have a much better streaming rig in front of me as I'm building, because right now I have my PVM here. I got a bunch of retro consoles underneath. I've got my PlayStation 4 that's like right there that I don't use very often. I use the one in my living room, and my computer screen's all the way over there. So that's why you guys see me always turning and looking to see it. So I'm going to change some things up, I think, and I'm looking very much forward to that. All right. So now what we're doing is we're just going to push these switches into place like so. Good. And the next thing we're going to do is not use this, but we are going to use these. Now these are the wires for connecting up our front buttons to our Easy Build board. So we're going to get that placed in. Let's see here. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Oops. Get those all just kind of fed through the holes. Since we're dealing with snap-in buttons, this is the best way I think to do this. Alright. And let's go ahead and move this here. Okay, what PVM do I have? I have a Trinitron PV... No. 19... It's a 19-inch. I forget the exact model number of it. It's not quite 24 inches, but it does weigh a ton, and it's got amazing video quality. I love it. I actually bought it when I lived just outside of Los Angeles before I moved here, from a guy. He ran a production studio, and he had contracts with companies like Disney and Universal and stuff. His office was amazing. It was amazing even when I went into it just to see, pick these things up, and it was pretty much all stripped out. He had a lot of really cool production desks, production studio desks with, crazy Mac Pros, old Mac Pros, the cheese graters, the original cheese graters, in them, and some crazy monitors and stuff that they had already been sold. They just need to be picked up. Huge, like 48U networking racks with production equipment that I've never seen. and it was just he was liquidating it all because he lost the contract with Disney. Disney basically pulled out of their contract, paid the penalty, and then hired everybody that worked for him. So he had nobody that worked for him anymore, and he lost his biggest contract. And he said, "You know what? I've made enough money. I quit. I'm selling everything. I did what I set out to do, and now whatever." So, fortunately, he had a bunch of PVMs that he was selling. I happened to find them, and I happened to buy them all. And then I hooked up the guys at Level Up Productions with 3 out of the 4 that I bought. And I actually have a second one that is still in storage back in the United States. So I lucked out pretty well. Okay, so we got that installed, so that's pretty good. He did have a BVM, a broadcast video monitor, and I really wish he would have sold that to me. But he said he found out that it was worth a lot of money about 20 minutes before I showed up. So he said he decided to keep it, and he was going to put it in storage, and then sell it when it became worth even more money. So smart on him, sad for me though. All right, so now what we're doing is we're just plugging some of these wires in while we're loose with the easy build. Oops. Sometimes routing them like this is just a little bit easier. Alright, and we can do the lock last. Not a huge deal. Alright, so what we're going to try and do is grab these wires and tuck them under the board, apparently poorly, just so that it's a little bit cleaner to look when it's installed. And then we'll get one screw here started, like so. And these wires all just need to be tucked underneath the lock switch, kind of like this, just out of sight, out of mind. I'll plug this guy in like so. There we go. Boom, just like this. Awesome. So those are all plugged in. That looks pretty tidy. I mean, it doesn't look tidy. We're gonna have to do something with that, but we're getting close. My wife is at a concert tonight on bass, and I chose not to go with her so that I could be here with you and stream and build this fight stick. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. Alright, so there you go. The easy build is now installed and tightened down, so we're good to go there. Now what we can do is we can make up some connections here. This is for the touchpad left stick and right stick. Easy day. This is for most of the connections. Pin looks a little bent. Let's go ahead and straighten that out. Okay, good to go. And here is the mode selector switch connection. Just slide that around like that. And then I like to plug this one into the Brook Fighting Board because that's the one that you're going to most likely use this on. You could plug it into the other one if you needed to, and eventually I'm going to make a cable that connects to both. I just haven't had an opportunity to do it yet. Okay, so there you go. Most of the fight stick is already built, so that's good. Let's grab a couple zip ties. Let's see if I have some little guys here. I got at least one. There's 2, and here's 3. Alright, great. So, I'll use those. I'm looking for my little flush cuts here. I have no idea where I put them. Perhaps this weekend would be a good time to get organized again. Because apparently I can't find anything today. Well, I guess we'll just have to make do with some scissors. Alright, so what I like to do is grab the wires kind of here and run a zip tie here, push the wires down so you get kind of a nice little bundle there. Normally I would use my flush cut trimmers and get that real close, but I can't find them tonight. So we'll just make do with scissors and they'll get close enough. Then I put that on kind of loose and then I pull the wires, not out of anything, but I pull them a little tight so you create kind of a nice trunk like that. And there you go. I'll just nip that too, like that. And then we'll do one more over here. Again, pull these tight. Use our last zip here, like so. And voila. Alright, good. Good. And so that kind of creates a nice little bundle of wires there that you can tuck back and not have to worry about. Alright, so let's go ahead and plug in our RJ45 cable like this. Let's just kind of plugs in like that. I feed it down here, and then you plug it into the retro board. Of course, this way, not the way I was doing it. Pins up. Pins up. All right. So there you go. That's the inside. Pretty much complete. The only thing we haven't done yet is put the lever on. Not a huge deal. That's coming next. Well, actually, I always do the lever last. This is going to use a Sanwa JLF. Here you go, like this, just a plain old JLF, no fancy mods. But I do like to put shaft covers on all my builds, so let me run upstairs and grab one real quick. Okay, now we got that done. Whew. One of the joys of living in a Japanese home is you kind of have to spread things out so that you can fit everything. It sounds a lot easier than it actually is. Alright, so we'll go ahead and flip this over, and let's go ahead and get our artwork put on like so. That's what the artwork's going to look like. That looks pretty sick. Joe did a great job printing this up. Okay, and next what we're going to do is we're going to put the plexiglass on, but obviously we need to clear the brown off the back. So let's move this up like that. Fortunately, I've not trimmed my nails in a couple days, so I can get a good peel. Just start at a corner, peel it up just a smidge. Don't dig your nails into the plexiglass. You don't want to scratch it. There we go. And then slowly peel it back, being careful that you don't rip it, because then it just becomes harder to get off. You can see I'm leaving it down. I'm pushing down with my left hand off camera to keep the plexiglass flat while and I'm keeping my hands on the paper so I don't get a bunch of fingerprints on it. Now that I'm kind of far, what I'll do is I'll stick my finger in the hole here, so I'm only using the edge of the plexi, so I'm still not touching the part that is going to touch the artwork. I'm not going to get any crap all over it. I'm just pulling slow just to make sure that it doesn't rip. There we go. See, like that. You don't want that. Oh, crap. There we go. Salvageable sometimes. Okay. There we go. Now let's rotate. Alright, great. There we go. Got it off. Do a quick look just to make sure we didn't touch it anywhere that we can see in the reflection. Looks pretty good to me. Alright, and then what we do is just lay it down. Whoops, not that way, that's wrong. Lay it down right on top of the artwork. And the artwork is going to get sandwiched between the case and the plexiglass, like so. And what I'm using is my fingers to kind of line things up. Then I'm going to grab my M4 screws and I'm going to set these in place. I'm not going to tighten them all the way down. We're not ready to tighten them down, but we want to get it so that it's started. And we're going to do it in all the spots, if you will, so that it's holding the plexiglass and the artwork in place. Like so. Use our 2.5mm T-handle Allen key. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this. I'm not putting this all the way down. I'm leaving about 2 or 3 millimeters between the screw head and the plexiglass. And they should screw in nice and easily. You can see I'm only using 2 fingers. If they're not, there may be a little powder coating in the threads. It happens. Or it could be cross-threaded. Also happens. If it's cross-threaded, don't continue. Pull it out. Start again. If you strip those out, then you'll never get a good connection with your screws and it will look bad. So be careful there. All right, cool. Done. All right, so that is ready to go. You can see there's still a little bit of play. It's fine. We expect that. We're going to set that off here to the side. Now the customer wants, let's see, let me make sure I got this right, 8 OBSC crystal white buttons. Fortunately, I did bring those down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, cool. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to throw a button. Apparently, yikes! And we're all good. I'm going to go ahead and put all the connectors on all the buttons, like so. This is probably the most tedious part. It's not that hard, it's a lot. Oops. Cool. I am actually in the process of getting cables manufactured to have my little pH connector on the side. One side for the easy build, and then has the new connector that Sanwa put on their SW8068 switches, so it just becomes clicks. No more dealing with pressing on quick disconnects, and it makes the switch overall, like, this all goes away. It just gets it sits flush with the housing. So that is very exciting, especially for builds like the Panzer with the easy build system, because then it makes the build that much easier and that much faster. Great. All right, so we got that done. Now, you'd think we'd probably just want to throw the buttons in, right? No, 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 don't do that yet. We got to peel the paper off before we put the buttons in. So I just wanted to minimize the amount of time that the paper was not on the plexi between that and inserting the buttons. So I'm going to set the buttons over here off to the side. And now what I'm going to do, much like I did before when I peeled the brown paper off the back, I'm going to start in the corner, peel off, and then this time we're going to kind of just get over the screws here, and it'll kind of peel apart there, and then you just keep going. Not a big deal. Plus, it's going to be a lot easier now that this is attached to the case. There's a lot more weight to it to hold it in place. Okay, let's do this. There we go. That looks good. Ooh, and seeing that art underneath the plexi is awesome. Now, this isn't art that I did. This is the art that the customer provided to Sabo's Arcades, and he printed it, cut it, and sent it to me because he knew I was building this case for the customer. So he didn't want to ship it to the customer and then have to have the customer ship it to me. So it took a little bit longer to get through. Not a huge deal, but now the customer is not going to have to worry about installing the art. His stick is going to be fully built when he gets it, fully tested, ready to go. He's not going to have to monkey with anything, and saved himself a bunch of time. And it gave me an opportunity to stream tonight, so that's good. Alright. You don't have to worry too much about touching the plexiglass on this side because you can clean it. Not a big deal. Alright. And there we go. Voila. Done. And now you can see the artwork. So this right here, that's in Japanese. Maybe one of our Japanese viewers can read that and tell us what that says. I don't know. It's on a flower. Maybe it's sakura? Maybe it's hana for like smell or nose? I don't know. I don't know. My Japanese is no bueno. Okay, good. So now what we can do is, I'm not going to screw these all the way down yet. I want to get the buttons installed because the buttons are going to kind of dictate where this all kind of lays flat, if you will. And if you've ever watched my streams in the past, you know I always stand the fight stick case up on its side when I'm installing buttons. I don't know why, I just always do. And I always push the buttons in so that the tabs are sideways, like that. Again, no real rhyme or reason, it's just how I do it. Old habits, I suppose. And they just clip into place, super nice, super easy, like that. I think these buttons were made with an old mold. They're a little undersized, if you will. Or maybe it's a new mold because there's not buildup. I don't know. I'm not a plastics guy. Now, if these were screw-in buttons, we would have put these in before we installed the easy build because you couldn't get to the nuts otherwise. Alright, so there you go. That is what it looks like with the buttons installed. Now this is all perfectly aligned because the most of the buttons are installed, or all of the buttons rather are installed. And now we can just tighten these down like so. Looks great. Wow, this build's awesome. Cool. There we go. That came out really nice. Really nice. And that artwork under the plexi, it really pops. It really does. Alright. Okay, so that's good. Now, the last thing we need to do, like I said earlier, is install this Sanwa JLF. And then I'll be able to test this out, update the firmware, and be good to go. So, like I said earlier, I do like to use shaft covers and dust washers accordingly. So I always put that on like that. And I use the edge here. I'll show you guys. I'm going to move my bench. I like to use the edge of the cart, rather, to hang the fight stick off the edge so that the lever can go down through that like that. We're not quite ready to do that yet, but we'll get this set up. Here off camera, you guys aren't going to see this because, well, I moved the entire cart. I apologize for that. What I'm doing is I'm getting all the hardware for the lever ready to be used. There's no secret or magic to it. It's just a short truss head screw with both a lock washer and a flat washer so that nothing works its way free during use. You could throw a little Loctite on there if you wanted, but I'm not convinced you absolutely need to do that unless you're a crazy violent player and are afraid of tightening this thing down appropriately when you're building it out. And like I said, I kind of get these all set up so that it's ready for me to just put the lever in and screw it down and I don't have to mess with anything. So let's go ahead and we're going to move this off the edge like I said I normally do. I'm going to just go ahead and slide that down in there. I'm holding the fight stick because I don't want to rely on this thing not falling off. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and get this started like so. I'm just tightening it down a little bit. No need to crank it down quite yet. You want to get everything lined up. You want the shaft to come through the hole on the other side as close to the middle as you possibly can. That way your geometry is not messed up. So we put these in here loose, kind of finger tight if you will, so that we can flip it back over and look and make sure that's kind of in the middle. And we're close. Kind of looking at it. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so now what we'll do, we'll just flip it up and then screw it in place. And this is where you want to make sure you really tighten it down because you want that lock washer to be fully compressed so it's preventing the spinning of the screws. And by preventing the spin, it creates a tension force in this direction so it won't rotate. Okay, and I always do it crossed, right? Provide even force on all four corners, like so. Okay, and you don't want to over tighten it because you don't want to spin any of the hardware or strip it. So now that's done. What I did forget to do is plug all these wires in. That was silly. Go ahead and take care of this now. And you can see what I'm doing is I'm just kind of wiggling so that I'm not putting a lot of force directly into the circuit board. No need to do that. By wiggling it, just kind of, it helps it click into place without actually putting a lot of direct force into the circuit board because it's just a piece of fiberglass. Okay. Alright. There we go. Good. And then the last bit we need to do is connect the lever. So we'll take this wire here. It just connects here like so. And then the other end plugs in like this. Let's see if it'll go in. Good. There we go. We can just tuck it under. And here, let me get everything back in frame for you. There you go. And that's what it looks like. All right. Let's go ahead and finish putting the lever topper on. We're going to put the shaft cover back on because I totally just let that thing fall. Like that. We'll put the other shaft cover on, or excuse me, the other dust washer like that. Good to go there. And they want to use a clear ball top, so we will oblige. Okay, and we just grab the shaft down below, spin that on. But we do want to use a small flathead screwdriver to hold the base of the shaft like so, and then make sure that's really on there nice and tight, otherwise it could come off. And just like that, we call this fight stick build done. Boom! I'm very excited. I hope you guys are too. I do have a couple more things I got to do. I got to plug it in. I got to go ahead and update the firmware on it, and then I got to put the bottom on. But I always do all that stuff off screen because it's always the same. It's not super exciting, and you guys don't really want to watch that. So I think that is where we part ways for this lovely Japanese evening. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and hopefully this was a cool build when it came out, and you guys appreciate it for what it is. I always like building sticks for people because I'm not the most creative artistically, and my customers, you guys, always are far more creative than I am. So the builds always come out super clean, super nice, and you know, very personalized. And I like that. I can appreciate that. So with that, I will bid you guys adieu. This has been an awesome build, and until next time, I wish you guys adieu. Peace out. Thanks.